Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Let us continue with the chapter Diversity in Living Organisms. In this session, I am going to discuss about the another sub-classification or the subgroup of the phylum Chordata. You remember what are the different parts of the Chordata? Let me show you the flowchart so that it will be a reminder and then we will continue. See, here is the subclassification of the phylum Chordata, and here I have shown the subclassification of this group into Acraniata or Protochordata and the another group, that is Vertebrata. Right? So in the earlier session, I have already explained the basic features of this group, that is Protochordata or the primitive chordates. Right? In today's session, I'm going to start with the groups which come under this particular group, that is Vertebrata. You remember which organisms are known as the vertebrates? The organisms in which the notochord is replaced by a well-developed structure that is known as the vertebral column. Right? Now, in this Vertebrata, the very first superclass that I'm going to discuss in today's session is the group that is Pisces, and the another one is Tetrapoda, so that we will study later. For now, in today's session, I'm going to explain you about the basic features of this group, that is Pisces, and what is the subclassification under this. I will just briefly tell you about that. So let us continue. So students, the very first superclass in the group Vertebrata is the Pisces. This group is commonly known as the group of fish. All fishes that you know, they all come under this particular group. Now you know there are some examples which are not exactly the fishes, but still they have been added with the suffix with their name, right? Like the jellyfish. It is not a fish exactly, right? Anyways, now in this group, I should say that it belongs to a specific group that is known as the Gnathostomata, right? And that means in these organisms the jaws are present. These vertebrate organisms, they are exclusively aquatic. That means they are living in the water. Completely exclusively they are surviving, they are living only in the aquatic habitat. And definitely it is possible that the type of water may vary according to the type of type of fish or the different species, right? That means they can inhabit either the fresh water, or they can survive in the marine water, or there may be some organisms or some fishes which are living in the brackish water. So the type of water varies according to the type of a fish, right? Besides this, the organism's body design is also very typical, right? It is specific or it is peculiar for this particular group. And you know what type of body they are having? You must have seen these organisms, so you know the basic things. So I'm just repeating those basic points, and then I'm going to introduce some new things that is going to add up to your information. So students, these organisms, basically they are having spindle shaped body which is streamlined. You can see this structure here. Now you can imagine that what is exactly meant by spindle shape, which is pointed at the anterior and posterior ends and is broadened in the middle. So such type of spindle shape is common in the fish. Exceptions are there in which the structure may vary, but commonly they are having this type of structure. And beside this, their body is streamlined, right? Also they are having a muscular tail. So the presence of this post-anal tail is a typical feature of the group Vertebrata. In fact, I should say the Chordata, right? In any stage the different groups are having the tail, and here it is present as a posterior muscular structure. This structure basically helps them to swim and to maintain a balance, to maintain a direction in which these organisms have to move forward. Also, these organisms, they are having the lateral line system. Now, lateral line system basically it is actually required to sense the changes which are taking place in the surrounding. That means this lateral line system, it helps them to know the disturbances which are taking place in the surrounding, and thus it is creating a sort of unique sense system or the sense organ in these organisms. Now further, let me explain you the different other features of this group, that is Pisces. So here is the flowchart which is summarizing the important features of the group Pisces. Habitat, as I have already said, that these organisms are aquatic. The next point is that the limbs are present. Limbs, see, these limbs are not exactly in a way which are present in the higher vertebrates, right? So over there the limbs are the developed appendages or the structures which are made up of bones and are supported by the muscles, right? But that is a peculiar feature in the case of tetrapods, right? In this group the limbs are present in the form of fins, and these fins are not exactly the same as it is in the case of higher vertebrates. Well, I can show you a picture so as to explain that what type of fins and where they are present in these organisms. So usually these are limbs, or there is a presence of paired appendages in these organisms or in the fishes, which is known as a fin, right? And generally there are the paired fins only, but there are sometimes or some unpaired fins are also present. Fins, they are basically helping in maintaining a balance during the swimming process. So you can see that where these fins are present, it is present in the dorsal position, as well as it is present in the this ventral location, and there are some pelvic and the pectoral fins also, and some they are having the caudal fin also. So they are having different types of appendages which may be prepared or which may be unpaired, and more than a single pair may also be present. Further, the next property is related to the skeleton. These organisms, they are having exoskeleton. That means the body is covered with the exoskeleton. So this external skeleton or the external side of the body is actually covered with the special structures which are known as the scales or the plates. Besides this, they are also having the endoskeleton, which is well developed here, and in some organisms or some species it is only made up of cartilage, and in other organisms or other species it is made up of cartilage and bones both. So depending on this they are further subclassified also, right? You can see here in this picture that these structures, as you can observe here over the body of this fish, you can see these are known as the dermal scales. So in these organisms or in the fish, the skin is glandular, and this glandular slimy skin is covered with the dermal scales. You know, these scales which are present here over the body, they arise from the dermis layer only, and hence they are deep seated. It is not just superficially present over there, rather it is deep seated into the dermal layer, right? And of course these are meant for the protection. They provide protection to these living organisms, right? As I said, the organism is having the internal skeleton also, so definitely I cannot show you here in this picture, but this internal skeleton is either made up of cartilage or the bones. I hope you remember what is this cartilage and the bone, right? You have studied this very well in the previous chapter or in the other chapter that is known as the tissues, right? So cartilage or the bones, they both are the type of connective tissue, right? Bony bone cells or the bony bone tissue is basically it is made up of bone cells or the osteocytes, which are embedded in a hard matrix. Alternatively, in the cartilaginous or the cartilage, the cells are embedded into the soft matrix. This is what the difference between the two things, and hence the internal skeleton of the fishes can be either soft or it can be hard, which is made up of bones. So now let us move back to the flowchart again to see the next particular feature. Next important feature is regarding the body temperature. So these organisms, they are cold-blooded. You remember what is meant by this cold-blooded? Cold-blooded means that the organisms are not able to maintain their body temperature. Their body temperature changes with the change in the surroundings, right? With the change in the environmental temperature, the temperature of the body also varies. So besides this, the respiration takes place through the special structures that are known as the gills or the gill slits, of course. So regarding gill slits, I must say that these are present in the pharyngeal position, so they are known as the pharyngeal gills, and they vary from 5 to 7 on each side. These 5 to 7 gill slits are present over there, and they may be covered with a flap-like membranous structure which is known as operculum. That what I mean by this is that there are some fishes in which the operculum is present, which is covering the gills, and in some others the gill slits are not covered by the operculum. Exceptionally, there are some fishes which is actually respiring through the lungs also. So such type of species is basically forming a transition link between the fish group and the next successive group. And such organisms or the such fish which it is of course respiring through the lungs. Besides this, the circulatory system is present, which is well developed and closed. Now this closed circulatory system is comprised of the blood vessels, definitely, which are arteries, veins, as well as the capillaries. And a well developed heart is present, and this heart is very much different from that complex heart which is present in the higher organisms or the higher vertebrates. In this case it is two chambered, and that means that it is comprised of one ventricle and one auricle. So this heart, it basically help in the circulation of blood. It is serving as a pumping organ, and also it is helping in maintaining the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in the blood vessels. Um, you must be knowing that the arteries, they always carry the oxygenated blood, whereas the veins, it always carries the deoxygenated blood. So how it is maintained? That is basically the function of the heart. Now the next property is about the reproduction. The circulatory system and heart I have already mentioned just now. So reproduction is sexual, and the fertilization, it takes place outside the female body. That means these sexually reproducing organisms, they are showing the external fertilization. You know what happens here? What happens is that they are releasing out the unfertilized egg, right? The unfertilized egg is released out into the water, and then it is when it comes in contact with the male gamete, then it gets fused. So here the fusion is taking place outside the body. Now here I have written the development as oviparous. So you know, oviparous development over here, it means that the unfertilized eggs are released. The unfertilized eggs are laid down by the female, which is fertilized outside. So although they are oviparous, but they are laying down the unfertilized eggs. This is the important point that you must always remember in such cases. Fine. Further, the development will take place, of course, outside the body, and then further the adult mature organism is going to be produced. Since these organisms are laying the eggs outside, and in the water, it is the fertilization is taking place. Due to this particular fact, these organisms, they have to lay many eggs, right? Because you know, there are the chances that these eggs will flow away along with the flow of water, right? So how the fusion will take place? The chances of fusion are quite rare. So this is the reason that why many eggs are released out by the female body. So these are some of the basic properties of the group Pisces. And now I'm going to tell you about the two important classes of this group. See here, when I was discussing about the important features, at most of the places I said that for example, the endoskeleton, it may be made up of cartilage or bones. Regarding this operculum, I said it may be present or not. So basic points I have mentioned in between this particular session. So let me tell you that on these basic characteristic features, that because of these dissimilarities, the common classes of this group are to be shown here. So that's what I'm going to discuss here now. So students, this flowchart is showing the two classes of the group Pisces, right? Uh, it is not so that there are only two classes. There are others also, but here in this session, according to our discussion and your text, whatever you are studying in at this standard, I will show you only two classes, right? So the very first is the chondrichthyes. The another one is the osteochthyes. So chondrichthyes, they are also known as the cartilaginous fishes, whereas osteochthyes, they are known as the bony fishes. And you know what is exactly meant by this cartilaginous and bony structure or the bony fishes? That means the endoskeleton of the fishes that belong to group chondrichthyes is made up of cartilage, whereas those which belong to osteochthyes, they are made up of bones. In them, the endoskeleton is made up of bones. Definitely the bones are supported by the cartilaginous structures, right? The next feature is the gill slits, which varies among these different types of fishes. In the case of cartilaginous fishes, there are only 5 to 7 pairs of gill slits, whereas in the case of osteochthyes, there are 4 pairs. Then comes the structure operculum. Earlier I told you that operculum may be present in some fishes or it may be absent. So now it will be clear that it is absent in the cartilaginous fish, but definitely it is present in the osteochthyes or the bony fishes. Then regarding the mouth, the position of mouth also varies in these two types of fishes. In the case of chondrichthyes, it is the location of mouth is ventral, whereas in the case of osteochthyes, it is always terminal. I can explain it with the help of a diagram I will draw here for you so that it will be very clear to understand this point. See, in general, how we make a fish, we just make like this, a curve is there, right? This is the mouth part. Fine. So after drawing this, we will just, what you do, either you make it like this and this type structure is made here, I'm sorry, right? So if this is the position, right, that is in the front, right? So this front means terminal or it is known as anterior. So such type of position is known as terminal and is a characteristic feature of the group osteochthyes or the fishes that belong to group osteochthyes. Alternatively, in some fishes we generally draw the diagram like this. Right, it is something like this and the position is maintained or it is drawn at this point, right? So this position, if the mouth is somewhere here, then this type of position is known as the ventral position, and this ventral mouth is a typical feature of the cartilaginous fishes. Then regarding the caudal fin, right, or the tail fin, there is a difference again. There are the fishes in which the caudal fin is having the I can say asymmetric structure, or it may be symmetric also, right? So if it is asymmetric, then the type of caudal fin is known as heterocercal, and this heterocercal fin is a specific feature of cartilaginous fishes. So how this heterocercal will be shown here? See, if this is the tail, you draw it like this. It is drawn like this in some fishes, right? So this is what the two parts of this caudal fin or the tail fin is quite different, right? So it is asymmetric in nature, it is not equivalent. So such structure is known as heterocercal and is a typical feature of which group? Of the cartilaginous fishes, right? Alternatively, there are the fishes in which we draw the diagram or the picture like this. The fin is drawn in this way. Am I right or wrong? So this type of equal division or the symmetry observed in the caudal fin, it is observed in the bony fishes. It is a typical feature here in the bony fishes. These points are really important when you are going through your practicals also. Over there, it is usually as, let us say, if your examiner will put a fish in front of you and he will ask you whether it is cartilaginous or a bony fish, how you will find it out. So these are some points that you can observe there, and you can say that what type of fish it is. Like you can observe the gill slits, right? Number you can count, and even if you cannot count the number, you can observe whether it is covered with the operculum or not. If it is covered, then it is supposed to be a bony fish. If it is uncovered, then it is supposed to be a chondrichthyes, right? Similarly, the position of mouth. If it is ventral, you can see here, if it is ventral, then it is chondrichthyes, and if it is terminal, then it is a bony fish. Similarly, by observing the tail, the external structure only, right, you can just understand, or you can identify that what type of fish it is. So therefore, I have just shown you this table and this type of classification, as it is even a part of your this practical, right, in your curriculum. Now the examples of such fishes, they are shown here, like shark, electric ray, scoliodon, that is a dogfish, then stingray, and so many others. These all are the chondrichthyes, or they are known as the cartilaginous fishes. Besides this, the others are like rohu, seahorse, carp, lungfish, flying fish, anglerfish, and so on. These all are the osteichthyes. Now let me show you the pictures so that it is going to be much more clear, and such discussion will be very, very clear. So here is a picture, that is shark. You can observe the mouth here, right? Where it is present, it is not exactly at the tip, right, in the anterior most region. It is towards the downside. So this position is known as the ventral position, right? So this ventral mouth is a typical feature of the cartilaginous fishes, or those which belongs to the group chondrichthyes, right? The another example is the scoliodon, or it is commonly known as the dogfish. The other examples are electric ray and the stingray. You can observe these pictures, right? Initially, when I explained you about the body design, I said it is having a spindle shaped body. So along with that, I said there may be some variation also, so that you can observe in these particular pictures, right? What is the specialty of this electric ray? This electric ray, it can even produce the 100-volt of electric shock. It is provided with some dorsal and the ventral organs, which are helping in the offensing and the defensing mechanisms. And this mechanism is actually it is based on the production of the electric impulses, and it as I said, it can even produce the electric shock of 100 volts, right? It is also known as a torpedo. So these are some of the examples of the cartilaginous fish. Now I will show you the bony fishes. So these are some examples, like seahorse. Seahorse, scientifically it is known as hippocampus, right? Then the exocetus, that is the flying fish. Rohu is again another simple fish that you must have seen it generally, right? So in these fishes, can you observe something? The features that we have discussed just now. See, look at the mouth, the position of the mouth. In all three cases, it is terminal. So terminal mouth is a characteristic feature of the bony fishes. Similarly, you can observe this tail structure. It is almost equal, it is symmetric, isn't it? So this type of structure is a basic, or it is an important feature of the bony fish. Can you see this operculum here, this flap-like structure in this exocetus? So this is actually of operculum, and is of course a typical feature of the osteichthyes, or the bony fishes. So this is how, by observing various features as mentioned in the above chart, you can externally observe or identify the type of fish, as well as by looking at the internal structures also it could be identified, so as to confirm the specific thing, as the exceptions may occur in different types of fishes also. So the group of features have to be observed. So this is all about the group Pisces, and next I will start with the next superclass of vertebrata, and that is Tetrapoda. So that we are going to continue in the next session. Till then, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Goodbye.